I tried to do everything DIY. I read the book and I understood it, I thought, and it just didn't work. I wasn't getting results and I was getting annoyed. And I'd see videos from Marcus and they would help a little bit, but wasn't there. And it finally occurred to me, Michael Jordan has a coach. I have a business coach for other things. Why don't I have a marketing coach?
You're listening to the Endless Customers podcast, brought to you by the team at Impact. Endless Customers is the proven system to become the most known and trusted brand in your market. If you want to start to learn the principles of Endless Customers and how you can implement them in your business, pick up a copy of Endless Customers, a national bestseller wherever books are sold. Ready to start implementing Endless Customers in your business? Talk to Impact about how our coaching program can help you implement Endless Customers to success. And now, onto the show. Here's your host, Alex Winter.
Today, we're talking to someone who's taken the principles of Endless Customers and built a real working system around them. Mike Ritzema runs Superior Trucking Payroll Service, and for a long time, he knew the business had more potential, but marketing just wasn't delivering. That's changed in a big way. Now they're generating qualified leads every week, having steady sales conversations, and even hiring a new salesperson to keep up with demand. In this episode, Mike walks us through what shifted, how they're doing it, and what others can learn from the path that he's on. Mike, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for taking the time to be on the show and to talk about your journey with Endless Customers and just share your experiences. I'm really excited to be talking with you today.
Yeah, this will be fun.
Yeah, this will be a lot of fun. So before we get started, I think a good place to just kind of set the stage. Can you tell people a little bit about yourself and then about Superior Trucking Payroll Service and what you guys do?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's in our name. We are a payroll service for trucking companies. That's all we do. We don't do doctor's offices. We don't do restaurants and all those other things like almost every other payroll service does. Okay. And it came out because I was working for a trucking company and we were using a national payroll provider and they were doing something wrong. And so I went to the owner and I said, I can make you something better. And he said, yeah, go do it. And so I did it and it worked great. Everything was going great. And so we just kept doing that. And it occurred to me later, talking to other trucking company owners that I had been introduced to, that there were some best practices that really smart people just weren't doing. And so I thought, well, if these really smart guys aren't doing these things that would save them a lot of money, there's got to be a whole lot of people who wouldn't be doing it. And so I left in 2010, went on my own, and 15 years later, we've got 12 of us working here and everything's going pretty well.
That's an incredible story. I'm so inspired by that. You know what, that old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if it is broke, you got to do something about it. And you really did. You live and breathe that. And 15 years in business is an incredible thing. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a fun ride.
Very cool. So can we talk a little bit about how you came to the Endless Customers ecosystem, the community, like how you found it and how that journey started for you and for your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I started the business, I'm not like a salesperson. I'm not, they call them hunters and farmers. I'm totally a farmer. I am in no way a hunter.
Okay.
My plan was I'm going to educate my audience, become a thought leader, and then they'll come along with me because clearly I've shown them that this is the best way to go. And I was trying to do this and I was doing all the things wrong that you've heard from anybody you've talked to. I wasn't posting consistently enough. There were no call to actions at all. There was no big message behind it. I would just think of a topic. I would type out some educational thing and it was like reading about payroll, really. I mean, come on, it's not a bestseller. So it's just not like I can pretend that it is and I love it, but that's okay.
Yeah. But I think that's the coolest part about this. And we have other companies like this too. Like we have some people that are in the insurance industry and they say the same thing. Like it's not the sexiest thing to maybe talk about or write about, but that doesn't mean you can't be honest and build trust and position it in a really cool way that still makes people excited and want to read or engage with video or whatever piece of content you're putting out.
Absolutely. And then Larry Kagan from Bear & Payroll, who I think you guys know, on Long Island, had recommended the book to me. And I read it and I was like, this is exactly what I've been trying to do. And as I'm reading the book, I added and failing so miserably at. But that was like, this is exactly where I wanted to go. I wanted people to reach out to us. And so then 2017-ish, 18, whenever that was. So we were trying to do this more, but we didn't have a content person. And you can imagine that doesn't go well. And you're correct. We would do content when we felt like we could find content and try and write it a little better. But nothing was really moving the needle because we still weren't sticking it. And then we hired a content person and just kind of told her, read the book and do those things. And again, as predicted, it did okay. It did better, but not that much better. We still weren't really getting there. We tried a couple other things. We put a couple other people in the role. And then finally, I put Melissa, who's doing it now, in the role about 3 years ago. And I just said, do it. You're smart. You've worked with me for a long time. You know about trucking. Just go write articles and read this book and go write articles. And she was doing that, and we were doing the 3 articles a week as recommended, but it still really wasn't landing until I finally had the epiphany. And it's dumb when I say it, but I'll say it anyway for the benefit of everybody else, that everybody needs a coach. Michael Jordan had a coach.
Yes.
Right. Every great athlete of every great anything had a coach. And I just took Melissa, who had a little bit of familiarity with marketing things, but that wasn't her specialty. She's just super empathetic. I mean, that was what she was bringing to it, which is a great thing to bring to it. But we had to help her refine the craft, and I was being no help. And so when I had that idea, I went to the first Impact Live, was in Chicago in 2024. We both went. It's a 3-hour drive for us. We went there. I understood the concepts, but couldn't explain them. And she got to hear them all firsthand, and the drinking from the fire hose and all that. And that was when we got involved with the coaching with Impact. And
so after Impact Lab in Chicago, that's when you had that aha moment that was like, okay, we really need a coach.
I had known it for a few months before. Connor had been talking to me about it, and I knew I felt like that was where I knew I had to end up. But then when I finally got there and got to meet some of the people, like, yeah, we got to do this. I'm like, I have done Melissa dirty on this. This is just not okay. What I've done to her.
It's tough too, because Melissa sounds like she's really great and is probably a great writer. And the empathy piece is huge, because when you want to build trust with people, you need to have that empathy piece. It's just so important. But it's one of those things where I read the book too, and I was like, oh, this is simple. This makes total sense. I can go do this. Let me just roll my sleeves up and make it happen. And it's easier said than done. It really is. And that's where, the events and coaching and training really comes into play. And we've seen it happen time and time again. So it's cool to hear you say that.
And even like, I remember from that event that Mandy had gone up and showed us the GPT that she has. And that just blew me away. Like I knew about Chat GPT, and for me, it was a fun toy, and I would use it for things. I still use it for things. But then when that introduced me to custom GPTs, and then I'm like, okay, now I see, like, beginning with one of my not great articles that I wrote or something, and running it through Mandy's thing, and then having it come out with an article that looks 10 times better.
Right.
And sticks the landing and does all these things. That was much better. And so that was I saw the light. Then we did coaching shortly after that.
That's really cool. I think too, it's important to note that you really were bought into it. We see this happen a lot. The result of like it working versus it not working really comes down to a person like yourself. It's the CEO or the CMO or somebody that's in a leadership role, and it has to start from the top down. That buy-in is so important. And do you feel like you were really driving this for your team as you started to like get into the coaching program and you started to really work the system more and more?
Well, I felt like I was driving it before the coaching program.
Okay.
Like, especially like, I was like, we're going to this thing. I think she'd already talked to Connor. She might have been in one of your meetup things with Chris Dupre.
Nice.
Because he looked at our website and it made his head hurt, if I remember that right.
That sounds.
He was right, by the way.
That sounds on brand. Yeah, that sounds.
Yeah. But it was fair, and I appreciated that. And so I think she was mostly on board. But then after going to meet everybody, and then doing like the first one-on-ones, we were in Allie's group. So Allie and Mandy, who we spend the most time with, as soon as she did the first one of those, she was in. She was like, all right. But I had asked her because she wouldn't necessarily want to disagree with me. She wants to go with the flow. That's a West Michigan thing. Up here, we don't argue about things. And so I'm like, do you want this? Like, I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to fund this. Is this something that you want and will think beneficial? And she's like, yes. All right, we're doing it.
Very cool. And the rest is history. So let's talk about that. So we established the journey, like how it started. Once you started using these custom GPTs and you had gone to the event, you started working with a coach and a trainer. How did that shift your content? Like, how did it make it land? You said you stuck the landing. I thought that stood out to me. What do you mean by that? Like, how did it shift the content and the results of your content?
Sticking the landing is a good CTA.
Yes.
It's a good call to action. That is sticking the landing. You wrote this great article, fantastically wonderful content that's super informational and beneficial to everybody. And then it's just the end. That's not sticking the landing. There's got to be a next step. And that was part of what they were really good at explaining, was the idea of the prospect journey to becoming a customer. You've got to bring them along the journey. You don't just have to ask for their business in every single piece that you write, but you want to get them into your pipeline somehow, and then funnel your pipeline through. And just the idea of taking them that way, I thought that was that's really the idea, is having some purpose for us behind it, where this article is going to bring them to our website for this thing. And then that thing is going to bring them somewhere else. And then after they've seen 3 or 4 or 5 things or whatever, now we're going to start asking for business. because now they know us. And which was not at all it's what I wanted to do and had not thought about it that way and was not in any way doing.
What were you doing before, if you don't mind me asking? Also, I appreciate your candor. I love how open and honest you're being. It's wonderful. It's refreshing, honestly. Well, because depending on the CEO or the person you're talking to, some people don't like to admit their faults. I suffer from this sometimes. I'm like, oh, let's not pay attention to that. But that's where you learn the most, and that's where you gain the most experience. So you have to be open to that.
Yeah, there's no gain in telling you, oh, we were perfect, and then we talked to impact, and now we're perfecter. Like, that doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't.
But what was your question? What
was it like numbers wise? What you were doing beforehand, right? So
I got a couple of metrics for you.
Yeah, I'd love to
that I think are worthwhile. Our new visitor count. It's the way that our web host counts visitors, and they count new website visitors every week. Went up about 18% looking at second quarter 2024. We started the impact coaching in June of 2024. So really those first weeks, you're not like, there's no magic in the first week. So I figure that's a good comparison.
Yeah. You get a ramp up. There's definitely a ramp up.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. If only it worked the first day. Right. But yeah, we went up 18%, I believe it is. From 2024 to 2025 in a time when Google traffic's going down, in a time when website traffic is going down. And I think Marcus has shared this on stage that a lot of even Impact's website traffic had been going down. And ours is going up.
It's true. Our traffic has gone down. And I think across the board for most companies, a lot of people out there watching and listening are feeling it too. I wouldn't say that Google is dead, but AI is shifting the way that people search and educate themselves on things. And because of that, ranking in Google, which used to be the number one most important thing, isn't as important as it used to be. And there's a shift happening. So to have an 18% increase while that's going on is not the norm, which is pretty cool to hear. So good for you.
Yeah, that's it's fantastic. And the better part is our lead count that we got in second quarter of 2024, we got 24 leads from our website. These aren't even necessarily qualified leads. I'm just giving you raw leads. We weren't counting qualified yet, which we do now.
Okay.
So we got 24 leads, which is not great. The trucking economy's been terrible, which is our customers. It's been terrible then, it's terrible now, so that's still the same. In the second quarter of 2025, we went from 24 and 24 to 64 and 25.
Wow.
Of which I think 48 were qualified. As a qualified lead as an actual trucking company owner or someone who works for a trucking company that's not just a driver looking around looking for information or not some random whoever at your website.
Yeah, you more than doubled in 1 year.
We almost tripled.
Yeah, that's impressive.
I mean, I think that's clearly because of the work that we've done with our coach and hearing Marcus and the Impact Plus community stuff. There were some things in there that were really key to that too.
And what has that done for your business? It sounds like you must have a much better P&L than you did from 24 to 25.
There's some time in the sales process. Some of that's come in and some of it hasn't.
Yeah.
But what it's done now is, and you mentioned it in your intro, is that it's enough qualified leads that Melissa did sales and marketing before because we didn't do outbound sales. I was trying to do this without outbound sales. But now we have enough inbound leads coming in that are qualified that we hired our sales rep for the first time in 4 years. We didn't have one for 4 years.
Wow.
Now what he's going to do is follow up on those inbound leads, as well as when he has extra time beyond that, then he can do prospecting and things like that. But that way it lets Melissa just focus on building quality content, working on video and working on things like that to make us more successful, which is really good anyway, because it's hard to be really good at content generation and be a good salesperson. Those are two very different things.
It's so true. And they go hand in hand so much, but they're still two very different stripes. So there is definitely some overlap. I totally agree with you.
And yeah, marketing, like content creation, requires deep work time. You can't just write a third of an article. Oh, the phone rings. It's a potential client, and then talk to them for half an hour and then come right back and go back to this for 2 minutes, and something else happens. You go grab the phone or go have to do something.
Exactly.
I can't write that way. If you can write that way, that's a whole class you guys should have at Impact Live, but I can't do it. And I don't know people who do.
I don't think most people can't.
Yeah. So just if she can just write her content and have deep work time, and then Calvin, our sales rep, can take the calls that come in and he can schedule things and he can follow up on people. Cause it's not just the phone call when they call and you go, yep, we're really a payroll service just for trucking companies. Yes, we are. Yes, we do all the payroll things. It's all the same 6 questions. Calvin can do that for us, and then he can push to make the sale, get on the proposal and the follow up, and there's all that time in that. So it was a good time to break those up because that's Melissa. She's many gifts, and she doesn't love doing sales.
Yeah,
she likes helping people.
It sounds too like there's an opportunity for assignment selling to be in there too, so that some of those questions you keep having to answer, you can get ahead of, especially with these inbound leads.
We've made like a Selling 7 video, and we just put a new video up on our price page and things like that. But yeah, I agree. Yeah, we're going to start working towards assignment selling. I'll tell you about assignment selling for me. I never really worried about it because I remember reading it and They Ask You Answer. He was spending too much time chasing down bad leads. Well, we weren't having enough leads that chasing them down really cost us that much time. But now we have more leads, so now it matters more. And this is where it really starts to come in, is now that we've got a steady lead stream coming in. I think it's going to be even more important.
Absolutely. You had said something earlier too about how you weren't tracking qualified leads. So can we talk a little bit about how that shifted to like, okay, we need to have a pipeline. We need to clearly identify MQLs, SQLs, and just what that looked like for you as you were implementing Endless Customers.
Well, speaking of coaches, I have a business coach too. Comes in every 3 months.
Nice.
And we do something very similar to EOS. And we're about 6 years in on it. And it's really helped. We could do a whole other podcast about that. But it's been really good. Reach out to me if you need a recommendation.
Sounds good.
But you're right. But he was the one actually who put us on that. He said, you really need to be checking qualified leads. And I am sure that if Allie or Mandy are watching, they're like, we told them that too. And I'm sure they're right. I needed to hear it one more time.
Yeah.
But now we started that second quarter of this year.
Since you started doing it, it sounds like you've really been able to identify stronger leads and have a clear sense of like where to strategically target your time and know which ones are worth these calls and spending the time to nurture them versus, which ones aren't. Yeah.
It helps us. It helps us know, is our content working, because if I'm getting a bunch of leads, but they're not potential buyers, in our ideal client, client profile, we're not hitting the mark. We're writing a good article for somebody, but not for us, and so we really want to zero in on the small trucking company owners, small trucking company accountants, small trucking company, the billing people or whatever, the office manager, whoever. Those are the people that we really want to reach with these things. Small trucking company HR person. I love the drivers, love them to pieces. They do a job I could never do, but they're not my target. So when they go to look at something just because they're curious, they're not going to do payroll. They don't. So I'm glad that they find the information helpful. Probably helps me in my SEO. But it's
yeah, definitely. It might help those drivers too, that if they're with a company that maybe
that's always the hope.
Need to make a shift from.
But we don't count them as qualified leads.
You had mentioned too, I heard that you have video in the mix as well. So you have your content manager. Can you talk a little bit about how video plays into this content mix and strategy that you're working?
Yeah, we are. Every time I come to an Impact Live, I come back and go, I got to do more video. And so we are really trying to evolve that as we keep going. I've gotten past the idea of it's got to be perfect. I just need it to be quick. If I can knock this thing out quickly, I feel comfortable. If I don't have a script, I can vamp on the subject. As long as I stick the CTA, call to action again, then I feel pretty good about it. And so we try to do a couple videos a week that are each a minute or two long, but my goal is actually to do 30 published video minutes a week. Okay. I don't hit it most weeks. I will share that. I am working on it. I actually assembled this morning a desk for my podcast studio that I'm going to build.
Oh, that's awesome.
I put the preview out, the trailer podcast episode out last week, and I'm going to do it. I want to get an episode out a week. I've got 20 episodes ready to go. I just got to film them. And so I'm excited about that, but I'm like, that's going to be the best content distribution for that kind of stuff, because I used to do webinars, and webinars went pretty well for me, but it's not 2010 anymore.
Yeah.
Webinars are tricky because people want to watch it on demand anyway. Right. So you may as well turn it into bite-sized pieces, and for me, make it a podcast.
Absolutely. And the way that you can repurpose a podcast, I mean, that's what we're doing here. And it's in the new book as well. It's fascinating, especially with some of these AI tools, to be able to have a really meaningful conversation like this, and then to be able to repurpose it across video and social and written. It really just makes things a lot easier and also cohesive. You're putting stuff out across all your platforms on the same subject at a given day or a given time, so that it's not like, the blog is talking about this and the videos that are going out are not even on the same subject, and it feels a little disjointed at times. So it's really helping to pull all that together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got the idea of, I could never get my head around shorts. I just couldn't do it. And finally it occurred to me, okay, go watch Impact Shorts, see how they do it, and just do it like that. And it occurred to me that you pull out the meat of a point for the 30-second meat of a point, and that's your short.
That's it.
So then I'm like, man alive, I'm making this so hard. But I got Opus. You guys had, I think somebody in Impact somewhere on the community or something had mentioned Opus. So I got that, love that. As far as making shorts out of longs, oh, it's so easy.
It does make it easy, and you don't have to be a video expert to use it. Mm-hmm. It really does make it easy, and it has good suggestions. I like the little ratings that it gives for the different clips, but that's something that we've been similar to you. It's like, you just have to do it, and it's not going to be perfect, and that's okay. And if you look at the podcast today from where it was when we started it a year and a half ago, it's come a long way. And there's things that we've learned, there's things that we've messed up, and we own those things, and we just keep working to make it better every time. And that's all you can do. That's the best you can do. And I think, frankly, that's better. It's better to do that than to not put anything out and to have no voice and have no noise in whatever industry or stripe that you're in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that completely. I expect my first episode to be my worst one. Yeah. And then it just gets better from there. But if you listen to any podcast, listen to episode 1 again after they're on episode 200 or whatever, and you'd be like, oh my gosh, what was that?
Exactly.
And so I'm cool with all that. Like, I will look at it later and laugh. I hope the 200th one's better. If I didn't improve in 200 episodes, good grief.
Yeah. I know. I can't wait to check it out. I'm definitely going to be checking it out. Allison told me a little bit about that. You were getting into launching that. She wasn't sure when. So it sounds like sooner than later, which is really exciting.
Yep. I just got to make time. I hope to work. Well, I'm going to be gone beginning of next week, but I want to have the first episode launched before I come to Impact Live in a week and a half.
That'd be cool. You're coming to Hartford. Awesome.
I'm coming to Hartford.
Nice. Oh, I can't wait to see you there. And for everybody watching and listening, Impact Live, 18th through the 20th in Hartford, Connecticut. It's going to be a great show. And if you can't make it to that one, don't worry. We have 2 a year. You had mentioned Chicago. We do one in Chicago every year as well. So you can go to impactplus.com/live, I believe, and you can check it out and get your tickets. It's definitely worth checking out and being there. And you get to meet awesome people like Mike here. All right. Enough of
That's better than awesome people and Mike. Awesome people and him too.
Yeah. And Mike will be there too. Yeah. Maybe Austin will be there. Yeah. Who knows? We'll see. No, it's going to be a lot of fun. All right. Enough shameless plugs. Let's go back into, so I want to talk a little bit about the value of the coaching program, right? So you went from DIY to trying it a little bit more seriously with a content manager to go into Impact Live. So we've heard the journey of like you implementing it. What's it like day to day, week to week, working with Allison, working with Mandy, working with the team here at Impact, as far as like how it helps your team in pushing out all this content? Because it is a lot of content you got to push out every week.
Yeah, it's a lot in the beginning because you feel like you're doing all these things wrong and you know the things that aren't working and you want to fix them all. And so in the beginning, like Melissa owns everything that she does and she wants to do it really well. And so the first couple of weeks for her were hard because she was wanting to fix all these things and do everything right. And so she was it was almost like double work, fix the old things and do new good things. And what I think Mandy and Allison told her finally was just like, slow down. We're going to get there. Just do this thing this week. Yeah. So all you got to do this week is do this thing. And then next week we'll do the next thing. And so that which was great for her. I think a lot of people are probably the other way where they don't get it done. If you said, get this done by the end of October, 3 months down the road, everybody starts at October 20th.
Right.
And so the weekly or semi-week or every other week meetings, however often the cadence is with the coaching, keeps you on track. Absolutely. It's the biggest thing in any coaching is accountability. You got to be, the wisdom obviously helps because you need to know what to do, but the accountability of actually doing it was where the rubber meets the road, because it just, that's what keeps it going. Because again, I've read both books. Endless Customers wasn't out yet when we started coaching, and I read They Ask You Answer, and I felt like I understood it, but there was no accountability for us to get anything done. Other than me wanting to do it and then me being annoyed with myself when we didn't, but that wasn't enough. And so it's the same thing with my business coach too, where it's the accountability is really the big thing. And it just keeps you on track. It's not long before you realize the progress you're making.
Right.
And that's really the key. If you can just suck it up for the first 3 or 4 weeks, we knew that once we were doing things the way you guys told us to do them, as far as just writing the articles. Forget about we're a WordPress shop instead of a HubSpot shop. We're a Zoho people and all that. Forget about all that and the CRM, which is a super important, but just start with writing better content. And we didn't know what better content was.
Yeah.
And so having Mandy and Allison and Janet and all the whole team, and just knowing we're like, man, we feel like our content's really so much better than it was a month ago before we started. And that's a great feeling. Like now I feel like we're writing things that, and man, people really should be finding this and reading this, and it's going to help them a lot. And it's more focused, and it's not just me rambling on about something. Right. It's a very well written article.
Well, and also you're the CEO, it's your company. So you're trying to run a business on top of trying to write all these articles and do everything by yourself. That's when you're wearing that many hats at one time, it doesn't always work out so great. And I've been in that spot too, where if you're giving, 50% of your time in one spot and 50% of your time in another spot, you're never giving 100% of your time anywhere. And that's tough, especially when you're trying to scale a business. So I think it's very commendable that you saw that and you were like, hey, I want to bring in the right people and I want to do this the right way.
I've always believed it was because it was a better version of what I wanted to do when I started the business. Right. I've like, this is the way that you want to sell. And again, I didn't have the words that you guys have. The idea of no one wants to be sold, everyone wants to buy. Right. Yeah. Like that's right what I was going for. Mm-hmm. But I just couldn't get there because writing is not one of my gifts. And so I'm the subject matter expert on a lot of things, and that's fine. And then they talk to me and have a question about a clarifying question about the article. And then Melissa writes, and Melissa knows a lot of this stuff too. She's worked here for 13 years. So she knows almost all of it anyway. She'll just run it by me to make sure sometimes. But yeah, just that's I can be the subject matter expert in 2 minutes of answering questions. And then she can write the article and get it posted and get it on socials and all the death by 1,000 cuts things.
Right. You got me thinking here, and I'm just curious, what's the vision for the future? Where do you see yourself in the next 12 months, in the next 5 years? Like what's the future for your company look like with Endless Customers?
We have one of the things that we've had that really worked, and I think it was one of the biggest things in driving our leads up, was there you guys in the community.
Impact Plus, yeah.
Yeah, Marcus did a talk in February. We had a price thing up already. It was a little wonky, but it worked. It wasn't as visually pleasing as it might be now, but it was still effective.
Okay. So some type of pricing calculator.
Yeah, the pricing calculator.
Yeah.
And it would tell you the price if you had, because in payroll, there's only so many things you need to know to generate a price. It's not like putting on a metal roof like some of your clients do. It's not like buying an appliance or putting in a fiberglass pool.
Yeah, where there's like a lot of variables. And
there's going to be a lot more variables for a fiberglass pool than there is for payroll. Mm-hmm. How many people are you paying? How often are you paying them? Do you have any other goofy things like are you in 20 states? Something like that. I mean, that's really about it. For the core payroll piece, that's all you got to know. Every payroll service who doesn't know you guys seems to call for price. Call for demo, call for whatever. And I'm like, nobody wants to know that. So we did have a price thing already set up and it was a little wonky, but it worked. And it gave him the price right on the screen right away. And Marcus saw it during one of the CEO, again, I'm sorry about it. I don't remember the terminology. It was like the CEO meeting.
Okay.
And there weren't a ton of us in there. So he looked at all of our websites, all the people that said they had pricing things. And some of them, he said, no, you don't. That's not nearly a pricing thing. That's just a thing that talks about price, but it's not a price calculator. As Marcus will say,
yes,
with love,
of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And he looked at mine and he's like, "This is a complicated mess." And I'm like, "Okay." And he goes, "And you're not asking for an email?" I'm like, "No, I ungated it because I want it to be available to everybody." And where he turned me around is he said, "You know what? You're giving them something they can't get anywhere else. You're allowed to ask for their email."
That's true. That's a good point.
And so that's what we do. Now, when we changed that was the biggest thing with the leads. But to go back to your question, where are we going to go? As far as the website goes, more self-selection tools, any of those tools we can write. We just lack ideas for tools to make now. Because I've got in Zoho, there's a thing called Zoho Forms that I can use, and I can make any kind of tool I want to make within reason. Again, I'm not building fiberglass pools, but I can, I can make it. I did one for a great in trucking, for example. 1099 versus W-2 is a big deal. A lot of trucking companies pay 1099 and they probably really shouldn't be doing that. Mm-hmm. So we made a test and it gives you a score and we get their email address for it. But then we follow up them because they took that test. And if their score said they really should be paying W-2 and they're probably 1099ing, we follow up with some articles to them. And we say, hey, look, read this article. This might illuminate some things for you. And we'd love to talk to you about it and things like that. And that's been fantastic. But if we can think of more quizzes to write, we're going to write them.
Yeah. Self-service is where it's at. There's a whole section in the book about self-service. It's not just pricing calculators. There's a whole lot more in there. And I love that that's where your head's at. And I think in today's market and in the future, especially with AI, people want to pick and choose themselves. They want to research themselves. They don't want to talk to people. They don't want to call for a quote. None of that stuff is going to work anymore. And the more you lean into that, the less leads you're going to get.
Absolutely. And it's just a bad customer experience.
Yeah.
That's all we sell. I don't make a thing. I have a pen in my hand. I don't make pens. I don't make something tangible. We move money around in the right way for the right people, but all we have is the customer experience. Mm-hmm. And so we want to make that as frictionless as possible. People want to learn more. They can book their own appointment on our website. We're trying to do all of them. We're doing as many as we can do. It's limited by our ability to think about them.
Right. That's very cool. You might need to use GPT and see if GPT can help give you any ideas.
That's where I got the ones I got.
Yeah. Very nice.
I wrote some of the questions for me too. And then I added them to make sure they're good for trucking.
Very cool. Well, and I have to circle back. We're talking about Impact Plus. It's a really great community. And you were talking about the different groups. There's all different types of groups in there, and they meet regularly. And there's groups for CEOs and executives. There's groups for videographers, for content managers. So if you're not sure about what to do, or if you need some help or want to talk to other great folks, Impact Plus is a great place to do that. And I love that you said that, because we don't talk about that enough on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember asking a video question on there because I don't really know anything. And people got right back to me. They're like, this is what's happening and this is why it's happening. I was trying to do a 2-camera setup with a nice camera and an iPhone.
Okay.
And the iPhone would always look super blurry, like it, like my first iPhone or something.
Yeah.
And they said it's because the other camera's so sharp. And they said, you really need to use 2 of the same thing. But that was really helpful. Google wasn't going to have that answer.
Right.
And so also in the live sessions too, people are always super helpful. Like the other attendees. I mean, of course, the Impact people, I've commented before that they are, you'd almost think it was fake, but it's not how nice everybody is. It's incredible how everybody is just from Bob and Marcus at the top all the way down to, I don't know who the bottom is, and I wouldn't name a name if I knew, but everybody is over the top nice. Stephanie's running around doing 17 things, and you ask her a question, she stops with a smile on her face and answers it. So it's amazing. But the attendees too, they'll tell you anything.
Yeah, that's the cool. We're all in this together. I love that you just said that. And there's definitely an energy and a vibe not just at the events, but the community that's part of this Endless Customers ecosystem, part of Impact. We want to help each other. It's like the rising tide that lifts all boats. We want to help each other. And that's something that we pride ourselves on. We don't hide anything. It's a principle in the book. To build trust, you have to be transparent. So if you have a question, we're going to help you solve it as best we can. And if we can't, we're going to try to find somebody or plug you in with somebody that can help you. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I got video advice from a guy there who was half my age, but he knew everything about cameras and things. I started telling him what camera I had, and I'm sure I misnamed it, and Jerry nicely corrected me about it. Things like that. It's just great to be able to know that they understand what you're going through.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so they can help with that problem.
That's right. So we've covered a lot of ground. This has been an amazing conversation. My last question for you here. If someone listening to this or watching this is doing what you did, maybe they're stuck, they read the book, they're trying to implement Endless Customers, they rolled up their sleeves, but they're hitting that ceiling. They're not really getting it to stick, as we were saying earlier. What advice would you give them?
Assuming that they have the book. If they don't have the book, get the book first.
Okay, book first.
Book first. And I would even, just by the way, get both They Ask You Answer and Endless Customers. I remember when Marcus talked about the book coming, I heard it as it's going to be They Ask You Answer 3.0. And it's really not. Because They Ask You Answer is a whole different journey than Endless Customers. And they're both super helpful. There's so much in the story of how he got there. The guy sold fiberglass pools. Like, that seems like an incredibly hard sale.
And an expensive
one. That's amazing.
Yeah. Pools are expensive.
Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he was able to do that and use this system to make that successful. It seems like it would work for everybody, but there's so many bite-sized little nuggets in there that I would tell them to read They Ask You Answer, but then go right into Endless Customers. Almost, it's like a sequel to me more than a 3.0. I would say do that first. The second thing they should do is I would tell them to get on the community. It's not free, but I think there might be a free trial or something. I don't know. That's your guys' business, but it's not free, but it's worth it. You can see kind of what's going on, and you can get a pretty good vibe, and you can see the things that get discussed. Usually it seems like once a month you do a live video thing, whether it's Bob or Marcus or Allison or anybody, whoever it is, that will give you a vibe for how it's going to work. And it's a pretty low cost way to figure this out. Just start asking a million questions and watch how quickly they get answered. You're going to see an answer in I don't want to guarantee a time, but it's quicker than pizza delivery. So, right? It is. I put one up today and I had 2 responses. It wasn't even a question. It was just a comment. And how you guys had inspired me with my new salesperson to do role playing, and also feeding the audio into ChatGPT to get feedback and things like that too.
Very
so cool. Which I never would have thought to do. He's receptive to it, which is great. And he wants to do it. He wants to be better.
That's amazing.
Feeling good about that. And but then I got comments back right away. These people are involved, the Impact staff and the other attendees or the members of the community. So I would do that. And then if there's an Impact Lives coming up soon, go to that. Hartford is not the most exciting city. I'm not going to oversell it. It's the insurance capital of the world. However, you're not going there for the tour. You're going there to go learn. And so you'll go learn. You're going to drink from the fire hose. It's going to be overwhelming. Stay with it. Just take a few key things out of there that you're going to do differently when you get home. 1 or 2, 3 at the most. And then try and do them. And when you get stuck, there's a coach waiting for you. For me, I had to know I needed the help. I would not have just done it. If I'd have read They Ask You Answer and there was coaching then, which I don't know if there was or not, but let's say there was, I don't know. I wouldn't have gone to a coach yet. I'm somebody who would have tried to do it myself, and I had to fail at it a little bit myself before I was willing to go get a coach. Mm-hmm. But once I did, man, it was an easy decision.
Game changer.
Absolutely. It just helps us do the things we're trying to do. They're not like telling me, oh, don't talk about this thing. Of course, they're going to tell me, absolutely talk about that thing. The sooner you go through all those steps, it sounds like a lot, but it's really not. The sooner you go through them, the sooner your business sees the benefit of it. I mean, you can scuffle for 2 years or 4 years or whatever, and then decide you need help. Or, I mean, those 2 or 4 years are going to go by anyway. So you may as well get the help now and ramp it up.
Yeah.
And get things going. Because you guys know, anybody who's watching this, you know what you're doing, and and you can go look what your competitors are doing. And you can see that they may not be as different right now as you want them to be. And when you make some changes and get some coaching, it's going to be different. You're going to be better, and eventually you're going to stand out. And they're also going to be encouraging too. So that's never bad either. But just get on with it. Like, don't just wait for it. It's not going to naturally get better through manifestation. I think it is. Right. It does that manifestation. The manifestation is you hire the coach. I love that. That's what you need to manifest.
I love it. Yeah. And if you don't like reading, the book's an easy read, and there's also audio versions of the book. So no excuse. I love it.
I want to get Marcus's audio of Endless Customers to see if it sounds like him or not. I just got into audiobooks, and the first one I got, the guy just sounded like he was reading it pretty monotonous. I'm like, I bet Marcus would be more fired up.
He is a pretty animated character. I actually haven't listened to it. I'd be sad for him
if he was just reading it. If he was just like, welcome to Endless Customers. I'd be like, oh, dude.
Very monotone.
Yeah, that wouldn't be him at all. I think that was an AI version of him that was on lots of depressants.
Yeah. No, that's not Marcus.
No, he's awesome.
Well, you're awesome too. And thank you so much for sharing all your insights and your story with our audience and our community. We really appreciate you being on the show.
I'm super glad to do it. I'm glad that I can be a success story. If you're going to Hartford, look for me. Ask me any question you want to ask me. As you can tell, I'll answer it, even if it doesn't look good on me. Also, the payroll people, I know there's a bunch of payroll people going. Let's all get together, man. We can share ideas. Zoho people, I'm not a HubSpot guy. Impact loves HubSpot, and HubSpot's been really good. But I was into Zoho before they got there. So if you're a Zoho person and you see me in Hartford, come say hi. Let's trade ideas. I've got some great things, and I bet you have great things too. And between us, we'll be even better.
I love it. Mike, thank you again for all your insights and for being on the show. This was a great conversation, and I'll see you in Hartford in a couple weeks.
Awesome. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Awesome. And for everybody out there watching and listening, this is Endless Customers. I'm your host, Alex Winter. Catch you on the next episode.